Level up with the new AAA Commanders MVP membership. Get all the benefits of AAA plus exclusive experiences, discounts, and tickets. Already a AAA member? Upgrade for free at AAA.com/commanders. Hey, babies. Hey, babies. What's up? Haven't talked to y'all in a while. What's going on? What's going on? Bye. Hey, baby. What's up? Everybody, we back. What's up?
That was a nice little Sunday yesterday of just taking in the games for the first time in a while. I mean, last week was actually nice too with the Commanders game getting knocked out, but did have to react to that eventually.
Made smash burgers, watched football, had a nice day. Had a really nice day.
Did you red zone it or did you watch the games individually? What'd you do?
Wow. Did my son talk to you? Because I don't have red zone because, I'm not here, most of the time. So I don't pay for that. And he was asking me yesterday, hey, can we get it? And I'm like, no. And he's like, why? And I'm like, I'm not here. Like, so why would I pay for this? And he's looking at me like, well, I am. So sounds like he got to you a little bit.
I mean, if you ever need it for a week, just text me next time. We can.
Oh, is that right?
We can see what we can do over there. That's what I was gonna say.
Well, then the other thing I'd like to be texted about is I'd like to watch a Caps game every once in a while. So, I mean, if you got a hack for that one, I'll. Sorry, Ted. I'd like one.
On the record, no comment on that one. But red zone we can talk about. Red zone.
Yeah. I mean, red zone. We can talk about that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
I was gonna say, or I do have red zone. You could have just invited me over, and I could have just streamed it to your TV. I'm just, next time you could just throw me the invite. So
don't tell Archer that. We had an extra smash burger. Had your name all over it too. Had your name all over it.
It happens. It's fine. It's fine. I did nothing as I've talked about the cap schedules cooking my what. So this
was unusual bye week for me. Like typically I like to go away, but because we were in Spain, I came back and I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm like, I'm just gonna sit on the couch for a few days, and I did. So I feel great. Refreshed. Hopefully the team feels that way too. They do not catch a break with the bye. The team they're playing is off a bye too, so they don't catch anything like that. And they're also really good. So, like the rest of the schedule they've had, they're playing a team with a really good record. So we'll see what happens this weekend. I'm hoping to see a different group this week when they come back, hopefully refreshed. Overseas trip, took a weekend off, did whatever they did this weekend, and we catch a different team on the other side of this. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, look, if there was one thing to take away from in that Dolphins game, it was that the defense actually played much better, and that was the one thing I think you try to carry over, and then you don't know what the injuries are going to look like on the offensive side of the ball. I am, cautiously optimistic they don't get blown out. That's the way I'm landing on Sunday.
I don't feel that way. Yeah, I don't feel that way. I mean, it's early in the week, obviously, but I don't feel that way. I think the dark days are behind us. That's the way I look at it. Are they playing a team that's in better state than they are? Yeah, obviously. If Jaden plays, that'd make a big difference. I don't know. We'll find out later this week if that's going to happen. If Terry plays, it's going to make a big difference. If he plays, I don't know. We'll find out later this week if that's going to happen. But I think the defensive corrections of Madrid, I hope, carry over. And there are long stretches of time here where Denver's offense doesn't score very much. So I would like to think that this is a competitive game Sunday night. That's what I'd like to think.
Yeah, that's my initial thought. And also, once again, it's a home game. I would think that they have a slight advantage of that. And fact of the matter that the NFL didn't flex them out too. I would hope it gives them a little bit of confidence of okay, we maybe are getting the league behind us just a touch, and they're not flexing us out. Granted, I looked at that schedule between Thanksgiving and stuff. There's a lot of good games, so there wasn't much to move. But yeah, it's also a home game. Win your home games. That's always the philosophy too.
There's also yesterday gave me the what if, because we got a result that would have helped with a what if for sure. Washington hasn't played Philadelphia yet. They get 2 games with them. Had they won in Madrid, and if Matt Gay makes a kick, they do. And even without that, they probably could have, should have won it anyway. And if they had won the Bears game that they fumbled away at the end, as bad as things had been, if nothing else was different, they'd be 5-6 right now. And if they were sitting at 5-6, what happened yesterday would have been enormous, I think, because it would have given them a chance. It's now given Dallas a puncher's chance, but Philly has to go completely sideways for that to happen. They have to go completely off the rail sideways for that to happen. Washington would have had a realistic shot because they're going to play them twice. So they would have had at least an opening to go win this game at home. Let's see what happens with Philadelphia. The last time this happened where they complained, it took to about this point in the season and they fell off a cliff. And yesterday they lost a game they had no business losing because they're up 21-0 against a team that last time I checked had the worst defense in the NFL and then didn't score again the rest of the game. So this is a what if moment yesterday, watching it kind of spiral and go, oh man, because you could just smell it in the water with Philadelphia. Like, they want to start losing so they can yell at each other. Like, I think they would actually prefer it a little bit. Like, they want to start losing so that they can validate their grievances with one another. They are the most immature, great team I've ever seen in my life. They, I think, on some level, love winning and don't mind losing so they can yell at each other and blame each other. And this is the one. They blew a 21-0 lead to a team that has no defense, couldn't score again, and now all of a sudden they're going to be looking at each other sideways in the locker room, and it'll go one of two ways. It's either going to be fine and they'll just start winning, or it's going to be like 2 years ago when it went completely off the rails and they disappear from the playoffs in a blink.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was also yesterday what was, different was it was the Eagles shooting themselves in the foot, multiple times at the end of that game. They usually don't do that. Like, yes, they bitch and complain about the offense. Yes, the defense has its cracks, but normally steps up. They usually don't beat themselves like they did at the end of that game. And I'll credit the Cowboys. Like, they made some really good, just straight up football plays. Like, the fumble on the punt was amazing. Like, the dude that got knocked down gets up.
Yeah, the effort play. He should be in every highlight reel for all time after that one. That was amazing. Yes.
Epitome of never giving up on a play. And so you give them credit there, but at the same time, like, that shouldn't have happened. Like, you should have been able to protect the ball, or, as you just said, score any amount of points from the first quarter on, and you win that game, and they don't. It is so baffling with that team, with how talented they are, and they just can't figure it out at this point of how to be consistent, how to score points. And what I don't understand is within the games too, even, that they lose, they have shades of the offenses they should be running. A.J. Brown got the ball a bunch at the beginning of that game, and then he disappeared for the rest of the game.
He had 110 yards, something like that, receiving. It's not like he didn't have a big game. He did.
Right, and so you can't give him the ball more, or I don't know what's up with Saquon. I mean, I guess that was a prediction from a lot of people saying that, like, not only was he not going to do what he did last year, he was going to fall off. It has. So with them, it's kind of baffling, let alone against that Cowboys defense that's one of the worst. And you're supposed to be a Super Bowl contender. You're supposed to just knock them out and win that game. And instead they let them come back, and, they have one of the best kickers in the league too, to just get to the 50 and basically win.
Because of the way our season has gone, I have to find joy in others' failures now. And I do want them to, it's not like I like the Cowboys, but I was sitting there watching this going, I actually do hope they come back and win, because I want to see what happens for the next, few weeks, because they really seem like a type of team that just really dislikes each other. And they win because they're too good to lose, but they really actually genuinely dislike each other. And this is the breakup now, because they just have to go sideways. If they keep winning, Howie won't break them up. But if they lose, they might, and A.J. Brown will get traded somewhere after the season, and everyone will talk about Jalen Hurts and whatever the thing is that they don't like about him. I don't know what it is. Nobody knows what it is, but there's something about him that his teammates do not like about him, and they've let it become public that that's the case. Like, what was the reporting last week that everybody's quote unquote frustrated with him? His record is like 82-12. You're frustrated with what exactly? Like, this is the first team I've ever come across that really doesn't like winning that much. Like, they love it, but they don't love it. Like, to me, winning is everything. I've been in a mood because our team has a record I did not think it would have, because I was hoping we would win more than we have. They're like, winning's fine, but they don't like the winning part of it. They seem to dislike each other so much. There's like an undercurrent of, if we lose, somebody will have to leave. And it's strange. It's really strange. And so the next couple of weeks are going to be very, very interesting for them because there will be a lot of weird articles that are high school girl pointing fingers at one another about, well, this person did this and that person did that. Watch, because this is what they are. And they might be too good to lose on that level. But I don't know, because we saw this 2 years ago where they cratered in the middle of the season when they were like 10-1. They totally cratered and disappeared, and that could happen again here.
At the same time, they kind of went through this bickering last year, though. Like, I don't know if it was this bad, but remember, this was about the time last year where the interview happened where it was Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown don't like each other. Remember that came out a year ago? And then remember they blew out whoever it was, and Jalen Hurts was like, yeah, that's what you all wanted to see, when it was like something the media had made up where it clearly wasn't. It was some kind of infighting with the team. They did go through this last year and they won a Super Bowl. So I also... I agree with what you're saying, but I also almost feel like they have to fight with each other to get the best out of each other. That's how I've kind of felt about them. And there's only one or two results. Either they all thrive off of that and they will go and win a Super Bowl, or they do what happened 2 years ago and they fall apart because they can't kind of figure it out with all the pieces. I think this year's been at least a little bit different because I think A.J. Brown, off of the extension he got, one, wants the ball a bunch because I guess it's incentives, and he's one of the great ones. So I would say he just really wants to dominate. But two, he hasn't been afraid to say whatever the hell is wrong with that offense, and no one's really knocked him for it. Like, the Philly media hasn't said, oh, he's mouthing off. Like, it's not like a T.O. situation where he's toxic. He basically just says, yeah, our offense sucks right now. We need to figure it out. Yeah. And everyone agrees with him. And that's what's crazy. That's what's crazy to me, actually, is that he's saying like the real thing. And Philly media is kind of running with it. And that's where I think, like, maybe this Eagles team, the vibes are weird, is you have a player that's saying whatever he wants and no one seems to care that much, like, or they agree with him. I think that's where it's like just an odd situation. You usually don't have that.
They play the Bears this week.
Oh, no.
This is Friday, an all-time train wreck game. I mean, it's an all-timer because the Bears haven't lost in a while. So if they knock them off, Philly's then they got to go play the Chargers out west. So it's a tough game. Like, it's a tough game. Then they're going to catch breaks. They're going to get the Raiders. Then they're going to get us. We'll have to see where we are. And it's going to be in Philadelphia. First one's here. So we're going to see, right. We'll see where we are at that. Like, I'm hoping we have a different team. You know, maybe Jaden's playing again. Maybe our defense levels out a little bit. You know, like, maybe we're more competitive. So, like, we might be, the Raiders one should be a win for them. But this is what happened a couple of years ago. Remember? The Cardinals were dog you know what and beat them at the end of the season, and that's when everybody went, oh God, they're going to really disappear from the playoffs immediately. This week's a car wreck game, an all-time car wreck game. The Bears are feeling themselves a little bit, can't lose now, keep winning all these close games, and now they're suddenly looking at, we could win that division. They're looking at that, we could win that division. If we win that division, we have a very high seed. We could have an even higher seed if we knock these guys off. Philly all of a sudden gets themselves in trouble if they lose this week. They were running away from the division. They get themselves in trouble this week. Oh, this is lining up. They lose that one to Caleb. Oh, God, here we go. Like, wait till you hear WIP the day after that one. That's going to be something.
Well, that's also the thing here, too, is like the Bears, as I've said all year, play up and down to their competition, but they're pulling out these close wins every single week. Caleb's been good. They get a good return. Like, they stole the magic from us. That's the joke with me right now, is that when they beat the Commanders on that Monday night game, that it was like the soul swap. Like, all of a sudden,
they took the fairy dust.
They did. Yeah. Like, all of a sudden they swapped the bad luck back to us and it went back to them, you know, from last year. And that's what the Eagles don't have this year. They're just eking out some of these wins, or like what happened yesterday, they're collapsing. That's a bad mix of teams is what I'm getting at there. Like, if Caleb beats them on a last-second drive, they're going to lose it on all of the stations up there.
So I haven't looked at the graphic. I got to look at it again, but there are 5 games this year the Giants had pretty decent leads in the fourth quarter, and they lost all of them, including yesterday where they blew a lead to Detroit, and then Detroit won in overtime. And I guess after the game was over, Malik Neighbors tweeted out something where he ripped Mike Kafka's game management. Basically said, I don't know why you're not running the ball late in the game. Why are we throwing it here? Make them burn their timeouts. This should be simple. Team must have got to him, or someone got to him, as he took it down pretty quickly, but it lives forever because people screenshot it and put it up. And then his insinuation was, I think we're trying to lose, as if he was trying to say, I think they have their quarterback, obviously, now. I think if they don't kill him, I think they have a quarterback now. So they wouldn't be tanking for that. But the insinuation was clearly there that the game management was questionable at best. And I don't think you build a fourth quarter lead only to try to lose it. And that's where I don't buy a tank. If you're trying to tank, you lose from the get-go. You don't play cute with it and try to build a lead. So I'm going to go with, this was the old traditional, sorry, Malik, he just made some bad choices at the end of a game that a lot of coaches do. They were not trying to lose, because if they were trying to lose, they never would have put up 27 in the first place against that team.
That turned into game of the day because of the fourth quarter, because they started both trading touchdowns. So to push back on Neighbors, they were actually doing the right thing there and trying to go after the Lions to try to put them away. Ultimately, it goes to overtime and they lose. But at the same time, Kafka wasn't calling a bad game. The trick play where Jameis caught the touchdown and trucked his way for a touchdown was great. They had another one where it was a throwback pass back to Jameis, and he threw a touchdown on that. He was just in his bag that game. I don't buy that at all. I think you're trying to beat a really good team on the road. You kind of have to keep the offense going. And look, the Giants almost scored at the end of overtime too. Or, on the, I guess, what do we call this? The rebuttal of overtime, whatever it is, to try to keep the game going. To keep the game going. I don't buy that with Neighbors. I think they were just running their offense, and Jameis was feeling it, honestly.
Let me look real quick here. Oh, the Cowboys aren't going to catch the Eagles. They play the Chiefs, the Lions, the Vikings, and the Chargers over the next 4 weeks. That ain't happening. That ain't happening.
I mean,
although the way Kansas City's going right now, it actually
wouldn't shock
me. Yeah, it actually wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
but the rest of it doesn't feel like that they would win. They're not going to win all of them. They're not going to win. That's what they'd have to do to catch Philadelphia. They'd have to win all of them, and that's not going to happen. So Philly's going to skate their way into winning this division. The question really is, are they going to be a contender, or are they going to be just a bunch of screaming teenagers at each other that actually blow up in the playoffs when they play a real team? That's going to be the question, really.
See, now that they lost that Cowboys game, it does make it interesting for Washington, because, do they even play their starters that last week? If they're not going for the 1 seed, right? That's the other side of this. Because remember what happened last year? The Lions and Vikings were playing each other for the 1 seed, and that was that. There was no real play for extra seating at the end.
I'm not going to make a case for this team to tank at all. I know there's a lot of people out there now, because the record is what the record is. I know, but I'm not bubble wrapping Jaden. I actually think that's a terrible idea. I think for morale in the locker room, when you tell everybody they need to play, if he can play, he goes out and plays. I don't want to put him at any more risk. And if his elbow isn't healthy enough, then hold him out another week or two. But if there's time left, play. If he can't play until week 18, well, then fine. Don't have him play week 18. But I think he should play. I think Terry should play if he can go. I think you put your guys out there. And because of all of that, because Philadelphia might not play their starters in the last week, because the Giants' record is what it is, because Minnesota's offense looks terrible with their offense, honestly, with their quarterback, Washington would 3 or 4 more games here. Don't be shocked if they end up going 3-3 down the stretch and winning those. And for those of you who are well, that means we don't get a top 5 draft pick. I don't care. We don't need a quarterback. I would rather see this team look like the team that I thought it was going to be in the summer, or at least the closest thing to it, than just, forget it. Let's not play anybody and lose every game out. I don't want to do that. And I actually don't think that's going to happen. Everyone who's been asking me, do you think they're going to win again? I'm yeah, I think they're going to win 2 or 3 more games probably down the stretch.
Yeah, we've seen this a million times too. You can tank and get the better pick, and it doesn't matter if you don't make the right call or the player doesn't work out. I always point to,
Look at JJ McCarthy. Okay.
Right.
Look at JJ McCarthy right now.
I point to this own team where they got Chase Young, and Chase Young was the best defensive player in that draft, and that didn't work out. He was good for 1 year, and then all of a sudden, injuries caught up to him. It's a whole thing, but that can happen to anybody. I'm never team tank over here. It's try as hard as you can.
No.
Like your best case scenario, seriously, just as a fan over here, is what the Giants have done the last couple of weeks. Really close games, really good efforts. And they play really hard, and then they lose in overtime, and you have to kind of throw your hands up and go, this is the year that they're having. That's kind of like your best case scenario if you really want to root for them to lose.
I'm Davey here. Stay in the fight. I am all stay in the fight. And honestly, like, things went so sideways, and I know it was a shock to everybody, that I actually think it would be good for going into next year that they show some resolve and play really hard and do the things that DQ talks about. We're not a quit team. So the season didn't go right. It doesn't mean you just quit on it and quit in the middle of it. I think that's a bad sign to everybody. So I'm hoping that they just keep playing hard here. And then I think they're going to win a couple of these games. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they win 3 of them, honestly. Like Minnesota, the Giants, one of those Eagles games, especially the last one, if they're not playing anybody, they could beat Dallas here. Like, that wouldn't be surprising if that happened. Like, that wouldn't be surprising at all if that happened to me.
You can't tell me that if Jaden was healthy and then McLaurin's out there, Noah Brown's out there, Traylon Burks is out there, that you don't want to see what that looks like. Like that's right. Like that's what I'm saying. Where if Jaden is out there and it's those 3 plus Debo is healthy, like I want to see what that offense looks like, because I want to know if I'm signing up for that again next year with all of those guys, or swapping a part in here or there. So yeah, I'm with you. Like, I'm not team bench him, whatever. I want all those guys back because I want to see what they want to look like. And look, there's a little bit of, I don't want to call it like a warning shot, because that sounds like kind of dumb with the season they're having. But there's a little bit of put the other NFC East teams on notice that you aren't as bad as you are while you're playing the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Eagles 2 times to finish out the season. Like, I want to beat those teams, or at least show, hey, this is what you should have been playing. This year just didn't go the way that we all thought it would.
That's right. This is going to be a very reflective offseason about a lot of things. Contract negotiations, training camp, trusting players who had an injury history, to maybe we needed to shift our defensive schematics a little bit differently than we did. I mean, there's just going to be a ton of reflection of what went wrong here, and it's a lot of things. It's not one thing, and hopefully they learn from it and turn it around. But I think it's important to show we're all still in this together. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. The injuries are a big part of the story here. Like, they would not have ended up with a 12-5 record with all the injuries that they had. That never would have happened. It shouldn't be 3-8, but it wasn't going to be 12-5. So there's a lot to kind of, I think, survey and think through as they head into next year. But I think it's important to play hard down the stretch. And then, speaking of receivers, I guess we're doing this again. Brandon Aiyuk had all of his guarantees voided in his contract that he just signed last summer, not this past summer, the summer before, when he had the contract stuff. And he was basically, I think, trying to get here when we drafted Jaden. He was trying, come on, like, it was like we had to talk about this every day, because he and Jaden are best friends, and they were talking about playing with each other again. And Aiyuk was trying to get out of it. And then they finally came to, they're going to trade him, but he wouldn't sign an extension with either New England or whoever it was that wanted to actually trade for him. So then the trade never happened. So they begrudgingly gave him the contract. Then he gets hurt. The injury's bad. He suffered multiple ligament damage. He hasn't played yet. Now they were starting to report he should be back by now, but he's not back by now. And then they're saying he's not even around the facility very much. And then all of a sudden this report came out that they voided the guarantees because the marriage is over, which is leading to, at the end of the season, likely to be released, which is, I will believe it when I see it. They could still trade him, right? They could still, or at least try to trade him, because now the extension's already in place. So I think a team could come forward and give you something and just swallow that contract. He's going to have to eat it, but he's going to want to try to go wherever he wants to go. And he clearly is going to want to be released. So buckle up, people. We're doing this again. And I do not believe for a second that his first choice is not to come here. He wants to come here. So the question is he free and available at the end of the season? Does Adam Peters want him? What's the state of his knee? That's a big part of this. And then, considering we all know we need another receiver, I'm assuming that everybody's going, go get him.
I'd have to ask like an expert on this, like Joel Corey. What I didn't quite get with this is, yes, they eliminate the guarantees. Doesn't that make his contract more appealing to other teams?
Yes.
So like that's
when they keep saying likely to be released.
Yeah.
Actually, he's more likely to be traded in my point of view now, because I think the contract is actually going to be quite affordable for whoever wants to actually try to acquire him.
Yeah, so that's like what I was kind of asking the question on here of like, I think that actually makes the trade value go up. That being said, he could also say, trade me and I'm not playing for whoever that team is. Like he could, put his foot down and, do that. So I don't know. That's where I'm kind of questioning this. I'm with you. I'll believe this when I see it, because in the NFL, just cutting ties with any kind of talent does not happen anymore. I mean, you and I saw the trade deadline a couple weeks ago where guys are getting traded for 5th, 6th, 7th round picks, even if it's minimal talent. I just don't think
the most striking example of it was Saquon, who signed as a free agent.
Right.
And that was ridiculous that they didn't trade him, because I think in their own mind, they never thought he was leaving, which was stupid.
I mean, either way, they still let him go for nothing. And that was always the problem with that. They didn't even tag him to negotiate. Right. So that was, a different scenario. I'm just saying no one ever cuts ties with talent for nothing in this league anymore. So that's why I'm with you. I'll believe it when I see it with him, unless he has just been a pain in the ass. Like, I mean, they could be the case. Like, I think it was Shanahan, when he was asked about him, was like, yeah, those guys that are rehabbing are on different schedules and tend not to be around. But I had kind of insinuated like he should be around now, and he hadn't been. So if he's being difficult, I do see their side of it too, if they release him.
There was the other thing where, and this happened with Terry earlier this year, it wasn't crazy acrimonious, but remember, they're like, you're cleared. Remember that?
Right, yeah.
They can do this with Aiyuk. They can go, you're cleared, and then see what happens. And if he doesn't show up, then they could start fining him, docking him pay, all of that stuff. But it sounds like they've, behind the scenes, set in motion that he will not be there after this season. And honestly, if they do want to trade him, they're probably better served not playing him. That said, they have a shot at the playoffs. He makes them better if he's healthy. So I'll see both sides of all of that, like, don't you want him out there to try to make a Super Bowl run? But if they're just so sideways with one another, then maybe not. I don't know how they're going to play the rest of this season with him. So we'll see, but like clearly he's going to be available. The dream scenario is he's just released. And if he's just released, well, and this is probably what he wants, because then he can get a new contract from scratch is probably what he wants. The Niners, they could double cross him here and just trade him, because it's a much more affordable contract with it'll either be 2 or 3 years left on the extension that he signed. So I don't know how this is going to play out. Do I want him? Kinda. But I need to know a lot more, like how bad is that knee injury? Is he going to be the same? That's question one, and the most important question. And two, and I would just have to trust Peters and Jaden on this. Is he going to show up here and be a royal pain in the butt? Because that's what's going on there. They just paid him all the money. He was a royal pain in the butt to get it in the first place. And now they're having a problem with him again, like a year later. That's not great, So I'd have to trust that they know him well enough that we actually want him here.
I mean, the other side of this too is, as this team knows really well right now, the change of scenery for high talent does fix things sometimes, and maybe Aiyuk would be a part of that. I think there's one other layer here that like you and I just haven't touched on yet too, is the Niners, when you look at it too, are having a really good season in spite of like what's happened to them, right? Like Purdy hurt most of the year. Mac Jones figured it out enough that they are still in it in that division. It's an older team, but they're still in all of these games. It's a really tough division. I actually think this is also one of those scenarios where the Niners could be going, you know what? Screw you. Like, we're having a really good season here. We don't care. Brotherhood over there, West Coast Brotherhood. And they're going, if you don't want to be a part of this, we don't need you either. It could be that as well, where they're going, just get out of our team facility because we're trying to go on a run here and you don't want to have anything to do with that. Fine. Like, I think there is a layer of that. And you know how this works too, Al. This is probably the national story with them, how everybody's talking about this. But I bet you locally, they're probably like, yeah, whatever, and talking about what's happening, down the stretch around here for them too. I think that's another layer here too.
I agree. I just, if he's released, we probably are destination one. I can't imagine we're not. I know that he's going to want to do it. I'm sure Jaden's going to want him. And then it'll come down to Peter's vouching for him, who was there when he was drafted. So we'll just have to see, right?
I mean,
we'll
guess what happens too when you need another wide receiver, an edge rusher, some other pieces on defense. You need to take risks on guys like this too.
That's right.
That's just to be real. You need to do that. And guys in their mid-20s that are entering their prime, don't fall off trees. Ask how Adam Peters has built this team. Like you actually have to like kick the tires on him no matter what.
I agree. I'll be right back. Brave West Show, ESPN 630, the Sports Capital. Commanders fans, this is for you. Level up with the new AAA Commanders MVP membership. Get all the benefits of AAA like 24/7 roadside assistance plus 15% off Commanders gear at the online pro shop. Chances to win game tickets, access to exclusive MVP events, and unforgettable experiences. Already a AAA member? Add the Commanders MVP upgrade for free. Head to AAA.com/Commanders to join the squad and put your fandom in drive. All right, welcome back. The Bears are 8-3. 8-3. They're like us last year. They keep winning by the hairs on their chinny chin chin, but they keep winning. So listen, if we're going to accept all the accolades for winning all those close games a year ago, then to be fair, Chicago, congratulations. You have the fairy dust this year. They keep winning all these very close games, largely against opponents that aren't great. But yesterday, Pittsburgh, granted without Rodgers, but Pittsburgh, and they won. So I am not going to like what the Bears fans did a year ago, which was try to dismiss what was happening throughout the course of the year. I'm not going to do that. You have a new coach. He's got this quarterback playing a lot better than he was a year ago. And the Bears are 8-3, and I can't argue with it.
Ben Johnson, I know it was a little rocky at the beginning, which I think was to be expected, but the way he just schemes up other teams is pretty unreal. I didn't know if it was going to carry over, mainly because of the Lions' talent, right? Like you look everywhere, the Lions have all this talent. Of course you can scheme up whatever you want. The Bears have really good talent, but it wasn't that. The fact that he is able to dial up what he is and drop a bunch of points on a team like Pittsburgh and get into a little bit of a boat race there at the end too, I commend him. And here's the thing, I think it's one of the more underrated storylines of the year is Caleb in crunch time has been really good. They didn't really need it last week when they got a good return. They didn't really need it yesterday, but he's been really good at these last second drives. It's a fit, like period. With those two, they actually fit together really well. I'm with you. They're having these last second wins. They're eking out these close wins. This is a really good year for them. I have nothing else bad to say to them about this and what's happening this season.
I mentioned the Giants side of losing to the Lions. The Lions survived, came back, won. That would have been a bad loss had they lost at home yesterday to them, but they came back. First play overtime, Gibbs pulls a Gibbs play. They win. They don't feel as formidable. Like they're ebbing pretty hard here. They gave up a lot of points yesterday to a really beat up offense. They've been giving up a lot of points. A couple weeks ago, their offense looked bad, got shredded. They've already flipped the play calling around a little bit. I don't know. Wheels are coming off a little bit here. They have too much talent to be bad. And I think they're a playoff team, but I don't think ultimately they're going to win that division. Maybe a lot will be said this week in Thanksgiving, but I don't think they're going to win that division because of what the Bears are doing or Green Bay. They're a wild card team at best now, and that's at best considering what's going on with them right now.
This game, just before I jump into either team, this game is the game that makes you feel bad as a Commanders fan because there's the Giants dropping a bunch of points with a depleted offense, and then there's the Lions giving up a bunch of points to that offense where you couldn't score at all against them essentially. And So that would make me feel bad as a Washington fan of oh, that's nice. The Giants can hang with them. We can't. We were blown out by the second quarter essentially. So that made me feel bad watching that. But that was game of the day yesterday. When it comes to the Lions, too, I think Dan Campbell hit it on the head a couple weeks ago when he was here and took over the offense of going, this isn't up to par. You don't make those moves unless you're already feeling it overall on the team of we need to get more out of this, even though our record's pretty good. We need to get more out of everybody if we're going to be a contender. Yesterday's one of those games. I know a win is a win is a win, but you look at it and go, you took that team to overtime at home on top of that, too, and you've got Thanksgiving coming up. I'm not feeling it with them. I'm with you. Wild card team at best, and it just doesn't feel the same as it did last year. It's not like it's injuries or something else. I don't think it's clicking for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, to the same point of like, it didn't make me feel good as a Commanders fan, like watching the Giants do that to them. Minnesota beat them at home a couple of weeks ago. That's not looking good right now. JJ doesn't look like an NFL quarterback at this point. The Packers stifle them on defense. We'll get a good look at McCarthy in a couple of weeks, assuming that he's playing quarterback for them. This is going to be probably one of the most, because they're not going to make the playoffs. This is going to be one of the most intriguing decisions they make. They might move away from him. And I think O'Connell doesn't read to me like somebody who wants to stick with anything that isn't working. The decision to move away from Darnold is looking worse and worse and worse by the week. And probably dependent on who's available. Wouldn't be totally shocked if JJ McCarthy is either not on the Vikings or is their backup next year.
I mean, we mentioned this a couple months ago or maybe a month ago where you moved on from Kirk, right? He goes to Atlanta. You decided not to do that. You signed Darnold. That worked out really, really well for you.
Really well.
You also had Daniel Jones in the building after he got cut from the Giants too. And then you went with McCarthy. Like, that's an all-time bad run of I wouldn't say bad run, but it's an all-time. You kept moving on and you thought you could do it a third time. Like, that's kind of crazy when you think
about it. He's in fourth place on that list.
Right, exactly. Like, I get it. You move on once because it's just not working, but it worked with Darnold. To do that again and think that it was going to work, it's a little crazy. And what I'll say is this: he'll stick around there because it's a rookie contract. So, like, it's not like they're going to cut him or something. But the fact that you had a playoff-ready roster and you kind of went with him, this is a bad one. This is a really bad decision. He's going to have to move off of him next offseason.
I think so. Same as I'll say, like with the Bears. The Pats are 10-2. You play who you play. They keep catching, in general, a lot of teams that aren't very good, but whatever, they keep winning, and they find a way to get it done, and Drake May looks a lot better, and they're a better coach team, and they're streaking towards the 1 seed. So, like, I can't argue with it. They're 10-2.
Yeah, I mean, look, they did beat the Bills, too. Like, I know the Bills aren't the same as they were, but they still are very formidable. So they took out a contender on the way to this 10-2 record. And here's, like, the storyline with the Patriots, too. Their defense is so much better this year. So Drake May doesn't have to do all of the heavy lifting. The offense is really good at times, but it's their defense and Vrabel that's gotten them back on track. Like, imagine that. That's what's gonna, probably get the Patriots a playoff win, is a really good defense and a solid quarterback. Imagine that.
Seahawks are 8-3. I can't argue with it. This is a weird year. This is a really weird year. I would not have had Chicago with that record. I would definitely not have had New England with that record. And I don't think I would have had Seattle with this record. Them being around 500 or a little bit better, sure. But 8-3 and streaking towards 11, 12 wins, I did not have. Having seen them in person defensively, I don't know what they're running, but it's magic. So good for them. They hold on. They beat a really bad team yesterday. But again, you play who you play, and they're 8-3.
You know me, I've been on Seattle since the offseason. They're a team that I've liked the entire year. It's all clicking for them. And as I've said, too, their offseason was magical. Trading their quarterback, signing Darnold, trading DK, like perfect front office moves, too, in the offseason to free up cap space and get their talent going where it needs to go. They're really impressive, and I'm actually just impressed by the last 2 years. They won 10 games last year, and no one talked about it. So I've been on them all offseason.
If I was the entire NFL, I would have been rooting for the Colts yesterday, because that might have buried Kansas City, or at least forced them to not win their division and then make it very hard to get into a wild card spot. That comeback shifts the AFC because it gives the Chiefs life more than anything. I don't think they're going to end up winning their division. I think it's too much of a hill to climb, but you don't want them in the playoffs at all if you're the AFC. So mark this one down. Indy not winning that game allows Kansas City the opening they need to get back into the playoffs.
I think it was 2 weeks ago, the Vegas odds had the Chiefs as the Super Bowl odds-on favorite, and they were not in a position to make the playoffs. Like, yes, like everybody knows that if they're just in, they are the most dangerous team. I would say this, too, for the Colts. You went toe-to-toe with them. You took it to overtime, but now you have the bug in the back of your head going, crap, if we play them in the playoffs, they took us out late. Like, I think that affects your psyche a little bit too, especially for a team that everybody's kind of waiting to see, are they the real deal once the playoffs start?
Good on Shador. He rips the Raiders. Chip Kelly got fired. I don't have much to say other than I'll get back on Shador at another time, but good for him for having a nice performance. The Jags held on. This might be a playoff ceiling win for them by winning in overtime. They're at 7 now, so they only really probably need to go 3-3 down the stretch. They do play the Colts twice. They also play the Titans twice, so they've got a real shot to get to 10 or 11, which may get them into the playoffs. This one doesn't really matter. Kirk, then the Falcons beat the Saints, whatever. Neither one of those teams are really going anywhere. How about the Ravens? Not pretty, but they win again. Bad team they played at home. They should win. It wasn't pretty. Took them a while to get going again. Lamar doesn't look exactly right. I don't know. Eventually they're not gonna win out. Like I don't think they're in a condition to do it. Will they catch Pittsburgh? Maybe, maybe that may happen. But the whole, they're going to take over the AFC, I kind of actually don't see it. I don't think Lamar looks right to me.
They get the Bengals on Thursday night, and the Bengals have been really plucky. I know their defense is bad, but they have actually put together some pretty good efforts. Even yesterday against the Patriots, they were hanging with them for most of the game. I think Thursday is going to be telling. On a division game, short week, a team that's desperate, can they take them out? We also don't know about Burrow, by the way. Burrow didn't play yesterday, but he's streaking towards actually playing at some point over the next week or two. I think Thursday is going to be really telling for the Ravens. I'm with you. They don't look right, but if you keep stacking up wins, you can eventually give yourself the chance to look right. I don't know what to think of them right now, but they could definitely catch Pittsburgh if they keep winning ugly too.
6 weeks ago, everybody up there wanted to fire Harbaugh. You guys are dummies. All right. Last one real quick. If the Eagles are going to go weird, which they might, the Lions are certainly not like what they were in previous years. If the Bears end up winning the division, then this is the best team in the NFC, the Rams. And they just throttled the Buccaneers. And we've had a rough year with injuries. So have they. Now Baker's hurt. The Panthers could wake up tomorrow in first place if they pull off an upset and knock off the Niners tonight. And there's only so many injuries you can take. And they've played a tough schedule, and they've had too many of them. And the Rams are streaking towards, look out, might be the best team in the NFC.
The Rams are the definition of NFL pass-fail. They've either seemingly got it and are Super Bowl contenders, or don't, and they're not good, or they're around 500 or something like that. This is a pass year for them. They've got a chance to win a Super Bowl. Stafford is kind of unreal. I know Tirico and Collinsworth were talking about him yesterday, but he looked dead in the water during training camp, hadn't taken a snap, starts week 1, and he's an MVP favorite right now. It's kind of unreal with him of what's going on. McVay is one of the best coaches around. They are, to me, probably the most well-rounded NFC team because they're consistent. All the other teams in the NFC are very inconsistent when it comes to their week-to-weeks. Eagles aren't consistent. You look at the Packers, who I think were a Super Bowl contender, are very inconsistent as well. The Rams are the most well-rounded team in the NFL. Or not in the NFL, but in the NFC, I think they're legitimately, a 1 seed at this point.
No doubt. All right, be right back. Bram What's the show? ESPN 630, the Sports Capital. Commanders fans, this is for you. Level up with the new AAA Commanders MVP membership. Get all the benefits of AAA like 24/7 roadside assistance, plus 15% off Commanders gear at the online pro shop, chances to win game tickets, access to exclusive MVP events, and unforgettable experiences. Already a AAA member? Add the Commanders MVP upgrade for free. Head to AAA.com/Commanders to join the squad and put your fandom in drive. All right, welcome back. Couple quick topics before we go today. One, we haven't talked in a while. The Capitals have kind of woken up over the last week. They lost to the Lightning, but they woke up with a bunch of goals. Got a 3-game win streak before they lost. They'll get Columbus tonight. So what's up with them?
Look, I'll say this. I think individually, when you look at teams around the league, there's a lot to be desired about a lot of them. Go look at the Maple Leafs. Go look at a couple of other teams. Go look at the standings of how close everything is right now. I would say this, the parity this year is kind of on it. I've talked about it here personally, but I'll talk about it with the team in general. There's an Olympic schedule going on right now, which means they've crammed as many games as they can for a 3-week break to happen in February. I think the schedule's grinding on them a little bit. They're a little bit of an older team. They're not as consistent. Here's what I'll say. Carberry's not letting them go sideways. Their power play is not good. Their PK is not good. Their 5-on-5 is all right, actually. I think what's happening here is the grind of the schedule is actually getting to them, and they're just inconsistent at the moment. I do not write them off, though, to have a bad season. Like, I think they're going to be okay at the end. But at the end of the day, there's some concern here. The power play not, producing is really bad. You're not going to go far in the playoffs if your power play can't go. You're not going to go far in the playoffs if your PK isn't very good. So they have some things to clean up here. But if you go look at the standings, it's very, very jumbled. There's no reason to panic. I was panicking a little bit at the beginning of last week. That being said, as you said, they won some games, ripped off 2 straight games where they scored 7 and 8 goals. That was really nice to see. You're also seeing this team's chemistry come together a little bit. Cautiously optimistic the rest of the way, but it's a tough schedule with the way things are laid out.
All right, last thing. I can't believe this happened again, but it did. The Spirit make it all the way to the NWSL final, only to lose for the second year in a row, 1-0. Last year, when we got to call that, which was a pleasure doing that, it was a very controversial goal. This one was not. However, Hal Hirschfeld got hurt the second half, and then Gotham took advantage of it very quickly while she was off of the field, and then you could see her emotions of it. And they scored the one goal that was needed. I'll give Gotham a lot of credit. They defensively, I remember this about them a year ago. You can't even get a good opportunity on them. Like they're very difficult to even get a good scoring opportunity against them. All they needed was one. They had a star all-timer make that goal against them. And unfortunately, same fate for the Spirit, who have, for the second year in a row, an incredible run all the way to the final, only to lose and can't find any offense in it.
I talked about it a little bit on my show last week. Gotham had an all-time run. I texted our friend Michael Minnick to ask him, give me the NFL equivalent of what Gotham did, because Gotham beat not only Kansas City, beat Orlando on the way. And as you followed it last year, it was those two and Washington were the best teams in the league. They took all 3 out on the same run. He basically said, this is Eli and the Giants. Like a team that shouldn't have done this, did this all-time run. I give them credit, but that's a tough pill to swallow. Losing the way you did last year, then losing it on the one little thing that went wrong. And you're nitpicking. You're like, you could have taken her out, but you know how this works. In the moment, no one did that. She eventually gets subbed out, but Rose Lavelle is one of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
Hits that, they lose. And now this feels like a bigger loss because we haven't talked about it here, but the Trinity Rodman stuff is transcending the sport, essentially.
Yes, I saw the commissioner talk about how we're going to do everything within our power to try to keep her here, which is just openly acknowledging that they're going to have to change their salary structures if they want to do that. Yeah.
When I saw the report last week of her agent wasn't talking with the Spirit, he was talking with the league, I was like, yeah, that's crazy, but it's also realistic. And so it just felt like this loss was a little bit more than 2 championship losses in a row. It almost feels like you're turning the page to another era that, there's going to be a new face of the franchise is what it feels like.
I hope not. We'll see. I mean, the league has outwardly come out and said, we do not want her to go anywhere. And if she's going to stay, it will be here. So I'm hoping we can figure that out. I think I appreciate the league is stepping up and saying it. They know how important she is, that what a sign this would be if she leaves and goes to another league overseas, what that means, and what that symbolizes. And so hopefully they'll get something done and we'll keep her in town and keep her in this league. And unfortunately for the Spirit, they got to regenerate the positivity again. That's a tough way to go, to make it to the final 2 years in a row and lose by the same score and not score a goal in either one of them. Oh, boy. All right, so hopefully they'll circle the wagons there. All right, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow. Brave Watch the Show, ESPN 630, The Sports Capital.